He took a picture of me asleep and sent it to my phone at 2:13 a.m. I first saw him from my kitchen window. A white house sat across the street. At night a single lamp burned in the top room. A shape stood by the glass. It did not move much. It just watched. At first I thought it was a TV. Then I saw the head turn when I walked by my window. I froze. It felt wrong. I felt sick. I started leaving curtains closed. That helped only a little. Some days I would catch that light on and the shape at the glass. It was like the house knew when I was home. It knew when I left. It knew when I was in the bathroom. I would pull my shirt over my face and walk around like that would hide me. I tried to be normal. I went to work. I cooked. I fed my cat. All the while I felt eyes on me. Sometimes I would stand very still and look out at that house. The shape would be there again. The lamp would be on. The shape would not wave. It did not smile. One night my neighbor, Mrs. Hale, came to borrow sugar. I told her. "Someone's watching me from the house across the street," I said. Her face changed. She told me the house had been empty for months. No one lived there. She said the owners died and the bank had the keys. She told me not to worry. I worried more. I started to write times in a small notebook. I wrote when the light came on. I wrote when the shape moved. I wrote when my cat meowed like something was there. I put my phone on the table and recorded sound. I left my bedroom door open and set the camera facing the window. I slept with my phone on my chest. The camera saved the night in blur and blue light. The files looked like bad sleep. I scrolled through them. On one clip the shape stood and held something long and thin. I could not tell what it was. In another clip the figure was gone, but the lamp was bright. The date on the file showed it had been there for weeks. I called the police. They came, slow and polite. They drove over and walked around the empty yard. They took a look inside the house. They said they could not find anyone. There were no signs of life. Just dust and a chair by the window. They told me to lock my doors. They left. That made me angrier. It made me afraid. I started to fight back in small ways. I put a red ribbon in my hair and walked so my profile showed at the window. I sat at the table and ate with my back to that house to see if the shape would change. One night I turned all the lights off and left a lamp in the living room. The lamp cast a rectangle on the wall like a stage. The house across the street lit up, like someone cued it. Then my phone buzzed. A new photo. I opened it with shaking hands. It was my living room. The lamp was on. My cat was on the couch. The photo was taken from the angle of the house across the street. In the photo my face was in the dark by the window. I could see the curve of my ear. My phone showed the time. 2:13 a.m. The date matched. I ran across the street that night. I wanted to break the glass and shout and find the person and make him tell me why. The front door was unlocked. The smell of old paper hit me. The room was empty except for a chair and a stack of magazines. On the wall across from the chair someone had hung a map of my street. Little pins marked houses. One pin had a red string tied to it. The string led to a photo posed in a frame. It was a picture from my porch light. There were more frames on the wall. My life. My house. My trash bin. My mailbox. I tore down the photos and the map. I smashed the lamp he used to point at my window. I took the frame that had the photo of my couch and put it in my arms like evidence. I called the police again. They came faster this time. They took the frame and took my statement. They asked me if I wanted to press charges. I did. They said they would check the house for cameras and devices. They told me not to go back home that night. They gave me a number and a card and left with the frame in their hands. I slept at a friend's place. I felt safer there. I told myself I would not go back until they fixed the locks and until they arrested someone. I thought I would wake to a new life. I thought I was done. The next morning I went home with 2 officers. The front door was open. The house looked the same. The chair. The map. The frames. In one frame was a photo of me asleep. It was not the one I had brought to the station. This one was new. The date on it was last night. The time was 2:13 a.m. I asked how that could be. The officer checked the frame with gloves. He frowned. This was taken from the street, he said. He pointed at a tiny hole in the upstairs window. It was a lens. A pinhole. A camera. I wanted to see him. I wanted to meet my watcher face to face. I wanted to know who he was. The officer said they would look for prints. They said they would check the house again. They told me they would watch the house tonight. They put 2 officers on rotation. That night I sat in my dark living room. The police said they would be across the street in a patrol car. The house lamp stayed off. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe I would sleep without fear. At 2:12 a.m. my phone buzzed. I looked at the screen. It was a text from an unknown number. There was only one word. Close. I felt my hands sweat. I held my phone up to the window. Across the street the house was dark. No lamp. No figure. The officers were silent in their car like a pair of bad toys. I took a breath and then the door behind me creaked. Slow. Soft. Not the wind. Not the cat. I did not move. My heart pounded like a drum. I could hear the floor in the hall. A shadow moved across the kitchen light. The officers ran, but they were not fast enough for the sound. A single, small noise came from my phone. A new photo arrived. My eyes read it before my brain knew it. It was taken from the corner of my bedroom. The curtains were open in the photo. I was in the bed. My face was turned to the side. My mouth was open. I was sleeping. The last thing I saw before the room went cold and bright with the flash was someone standing at the foot of my bed. They were in the dark. They had the same still head I had watched for so long. They smiled like they had been waiting.